Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Tuesday, February 1st, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. It is now 7 p.m. All three selectmen are present. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from January 18th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes?
No, I went through them and I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything either.
Even the spelling.
Yeah, they were perfect.
They were perfect, Dottie.
Perfect.
Okay, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January 18th, 2022, say aye. Aye. And that motion passes. We had some correspondence. The Thompson Library wanted to read this. I feel compelled to share this info with you as I prepare my monthly report to the library board and say once again a very big thank you for your support, the Board of Selectmen's support and funding of this key piece of equipment for our operation. And this was the Zono machine that sanitizes the materials. The winter session of children's programs started on time. Many libraries have delayed the start due to the increase in COVID-19 cases. After discussion with staff, it was decided we were comfortable staying on schedule due in part to the Zono cleaning machine. Kudos to the library, but they wanted to send us a thank you.
I thought it was nice.
All right. Any other correspondence that we received? There is one piece that we did receive the one piece from the Girl Scouts that missed the agenda last meeting and missed the agenda again this. And that was the request from Jessica Bolte's Girl Scout troop to sell cookies at the transfer station. So I think this is an appropriate time to ask that we add that item to other business.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we add it to the Girl Scout cookie request to other business, yes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on adding that agenda item, the Girl Scout cookie request to sell cookies at the transfer station to other business? Hearing none, all in favor of adding that agenda item to other business, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, selectmen comments. Selectmen comments. Any selectmen comments at this time?
I have a couple. First, can one is a request, and maybe it's, I just think it might be valuable information. We receive the information from the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection on accidents, investigations, burglaries every month. Could we request that of the EMS? How many calls are they and how many transports, so that we could kind of start to document that in a more
I think that's fair.
Why don't we just,
For that matter, we could get a report
or
that's
even
that the
fires,
fire
everything.
marshal, the fire marshal presents to that. The fire marshal processes that. He gets the reports, the reporting goes in.
Fire marshal wouldn't be
No, I'm
processing
asking-
EMS.
yeah, no, I'm asking from
Not the
KB.
EMS, but fire.
No, not that. I'm asking
He was just in
specifically
my
for the
office,
EMS.
but he was in my office today talking about who responded to medical calls, but maybe
That's
not
'cause he's-
EMS, maybe not
that's-
ambulance. You want ambulance or do you
I
want?
want ambulance, yes, not, well, I think of EMS as ambulance, but the ambulance service, KB, to give us a report of how many calls, how many transports, that kind of thing. Nothing major, just so that we can start to document actual numbers.
Right.
How many mutual aid, how many were, that kind of thing.
But that wouldn't come out of KB, that'd come out of QB.
QB dispatch,
Correct.
But we pay KB.
Correct.
right?
So that's why I'm asking
They
KB.
have
We
them.
pay them.
But we should be getting a report from KB anyway of what they're doing.
Right. Okay.
And that's because we're paying the bill. They should be given it, but that would not give us Bog went out as an R1 or community went out as, R1, that would come from QB.
Okay,
Same thing with any fire
Maybe I'm
call,
wording it wrong.
services call.
yeah.
Maybe I'm wording it wrong. I mean, not-
We can work towards
not
that.
mutual aid in terms of when we don't have an ambulance able to go out, if there's two calls at once, that they have to call in another service. That's what I was
Well, I
thinking,
feel like that would still be QB dispatch
Would be.
but we need
for the mutual aid portion.
for the, yeah. No, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, however that works, however that works.
What they can provide and what they can't provide, and we could go from there.
They can give us numbers.
I think. it would be
I think
great.
so too, and numbers that, that would be satisfactory for us to be able to start documenting.
Write that down.
Thank you.
And Yeah, throughout the whole fire service with the calls, it'd be great. It's gonna tell the Board of Finance exactly what our fire departments are doing and showing how, everything they're doing, and that just helps, especially at budget times.
Well, I have asked that because the fire marshal does handle the reports that come in and has access to all the calls that were made, at least for the fire department. I'm not so much sure about the ambulance service. I can find out, but in fact, he's currently constructing a report for me on that, on the calls that were received from each department. In addition to that, we also have the average number of volunteers that responded to those calls on a given.
Good.
So, and that'll be something for us to consider and utilize to present to the Board of Finance.
Excellent. I also have another comment to make. At our last meeting, we had some concerns that we were not engaging in conversation with the individuals that were coming to our meeting. And I just wanted to say that when comments are made and questions are asked, that we often engage with individuals and answer questions. We've always been that way, pretty open. But when accusations are made or when people stomp their feet or point their fingers, it makes it a little more challenging to answer a question if there isn't question. So I just want to say that. I just want to say that we're all a team here and we should be really working together. And if people have genuine concerns that they want to share with us and we don't have the answers, sometimes we don't have the answers. We can research and get it back to you. Amy has always said her door is open because we want to be able to communicate with you and we want to be able to have an open dialogue. But sometimes we don't have the answers, and sometimes it's said in a way to us that it's difficult or challenging to answer. I'll put it that way. So I just wanted to make it a point that if you have concerns or questions or things that you want brought up, you can always email or contact the Selectmen's office before the meeting so that we are prepared to be able to answer your questions. And we're always available to chat before, after meetings, whatever it might be.
Fully agree with that.
I want to put it out there.
Any other comments?
I know the highway department had a very trying storm with this one. It was a tough one.
Mhm.
And I commend them for being out there. I'm sure the conditions weren't good. I know Steve's here. I don't know if,
Do we have any power outages or difficulties?
great.
Only one transformer issue was Winnebago. So it wasn't called in by resident and affected no power.
I was so grateful for that. I was just on pins and needles all day, just like I think I checked in, we checked in about twice, but it was just like, and at one point, Steve did come here and he did open up the emergency operations center. And then probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And for the virtual audience, I'm speaking to Steve Benoit right now, our emergency management director. He came here, opened up the town hall to run the operations, and we were just grateful there were no power outages. So, yeah, yes, yeah,
Okay with me.
which was good.
So I do thank them for that. There was a trying storm, especially with the wind conditions.
And then there were the 2 fires. And the fire in Quinnebog, they got called out to spread sand and salt after that, so
Oh, I heard about that.
they did a great job. I totally agree. Okay, the only thing that I really have, I would have said the same thing as Ken. Our guys did a phenomenal job. It was a tough storm to navigate, and it didn't seem to want to go away. We kept thinking it was going to end by 4 or 5 o'clock, and then it was almost 11 before things trickled off. We're moving forward with budget workshops, February 7th, 2:30 to 6:30 p.m., February 9th, 2:30 to 6 p.m., February 14th, yeah, on Valentine's Day, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., February 16th, 3 to 6 p.m., potentially longer on that date. And then on February 22nd, we will be meeting with all of the fire departments to discuss their budgets that evening.
And they will all be done on Zoom, correct?
Everything will be via Zoom. Yes, yes, everything will be virtual. Finance director, we have not had luck finding an interim finance director. I am very grateful that we moved forward and we acquired the software. It's a web-based or a cloud-based software for accounting for our budget book and our budget. It interfaces with Munis. It's something that even I can navigate because I do have an accounting background. And yeah, so that's going to help us navigate without the cumbersome spreadsheets that we've been using for years. And the department heads will begin entering in their budgets this week, and we should have everything ready to go for February 7th, first budget meeting. So yeah, and I'm going to just look into access for both of you so that you can watch and see how the budget is transforming. I think it'll be easy to give you access and then also the Board of Finance access so they can also watch and see how the numbers are transpiring throughout the budget process. So it's a great upgrade. It's a great update to our accounting, and I can't wait to launch it. So, and that's all I have. Any other selecting comments? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item 6, so, citizen comments. Any citizen comments at this time? The floor is open.
Madam Selectwoman,
Yes, Mr.
may I
Lanky.
speak? May I
Yes, you
speak?
can. State your name and address, please, sir.
I will do that. John B. Lanky, 304 Brickyard Road, here in North Grovedale, Connecticut. I would like to address the agenda item number 12. And being the RTC chair, I would like to suggest to the Board of Selectmen that what their decision will be done at that time. Please be open-minded about it, please. I think the people that were on the RTC committee, as well as the DTC committee, they made some good appointments to fill in the spots. And all I'm asking as a voter as well, that the three of you vote very consciously on who you would submit to the P&Z openings. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lanky. Floor is open for any further citizen comments. Okay, Mr. Williams, your hand is raised. You can feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'd like to say that I hope you people think about the townspeople and who they voted for in November instead of just putting in who you want to put in.
Mr. Williams, can you state your name and address?
It's very disconcerting that the people that ran and the people that the town wants in, it seems to me that nobody cares about the vote of the people, the will of the people of this town.
Mr. Williams, can you state your name and address for the record for our recording secretary so that we can record what you said?
Ray Williams, 190 Porter Plain Road, Thompson.
Thank you. All right, The floor is still open for citizen comments. Any citizen comments at this time? Any comments in the audience, the live audience? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 7, economic development update from our Director of Planning and Development, Kira Pengesek.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me all right? I'm in a very noisy place and I have to be masked. So,
We can hear you well.
okay. All right, good. Yeah, so I don't have anything prepared per se, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I believe Suzanne is the one who mostly was interested in an update. So, like I say, I'll be happy, and I apologize. I'm very distracted where I am. Happy to clarify anything that you have. Suzanne, if you could give me an idea of what it is that you are looking for information, I'll do my best to focus on that.
Tara, what I would like is for you to report to us once a month, any new grants that you're applying for, any grants that have come in. I don't want to hear it on Winnie Radio. And I'd like to know what you're doing so that we have an idea and I'd also like to be able to give you direction should it come we have an interest in going down a path for looking for grants for something, I don't know, EMS or something related to that way. I think that what I'm looking for is more communication from you on a monthly basis. So
Okay.
I'd like it if you prepared a report for the meeting at the beginning of the month, I think we said, did we say? And told us where you're at with what grants and what grants you're working on and what grants you have, in the works, what grants you're looking for, and then get direction from us each month.
Okay, and of course, I have a weekly meeting with Amy where we do go over that in some depth, but
I
in
understand that,
terms
but
of what we have, in terms of what we have currently open, I do not have any grant applications that I am currently drafting. We're in a sort of a waiting period on, I was going to say 3, but 2. The big one being the Connecticut Communities Challenge grant, which we've had a few meetings on here. That was submitted for the deadline in mid-January. That's the one where we're trying to leverage the ARPA funds into a bigger community development program that includes a lot of stuff in the North Grosvenor-Dale core. Without going into the fine details, it's leveraging about half of the ARPA to do some upgrades to Riverside Park, to pursue the upgrades to the water treatment plant, which is an item that had been voted on, but the way I have to leverage them, I have to present them in a certain way. To do the further enhancements to the Blaine Road bump out, which is a project that's already or should already be on Rich's action list for 2022. The 65 Main project, pursue the further design of repaired sidewalks for the length and road surfaces for the length of Main Street, and a direct assistance program to homeowners for facade and energy improvements, again, in the essentially North Grosvenor-Dale, the Downtown Mill Rehabilitation District. I expect notification on that, according to DECD, by late March, early April. Given what I know about their timelines, I would say that's probably more going to be late April, early May. The other one I'm waiting for notification on right now is, and actually this one was not on that memo I submitted. I had actually forgotten about it. Was the BRIC grant that's building resilient infrastructure for communities. It's managed by the Department of Emergency and Homeland Services for Connecticut. And it was a $75,000 request to do project scoping to improve the Langer Pond Dam. That grant was closed for me in late November, early December, and then the state submits it to FEMA. I believe they did that last week. So again, I think the notification period on that is March. So those are the two I'm waiting on. In terms of the next one that's on my radar, that same Connecticut Communities Challenge grant program is anticipated for a second round. And regardless of whether we get the first award or not, I have a second one stacked up. I've been working on a project with the Thompson Congregational Church. They essentially are looking to renovate and do some placemaking up in their neighborhood. And that would be a public-private partnership with them. Sorry, I apologize for stumbling here. I'm trying to do like 3 things at once. So in terms of grants that, yeah, go ahead.
This is Amy St. Ange. Quick question. What about the DEEP grant that had to do with the airline trail? Was there any word on that? Is that still live? Is that still?
We do know what's going on with that. I have to be careful because the announcements haven't been formally made yet.
But that's
So short form is we know that we have been approved for funding. It was not the full amount, it was a partial amount. But my contact at CT Deep has told me that they are also giving our project to OPM to fund the balance as a priority project for them. Because OPM has prioritized alternative transit projects this year, and CT Deep is sort of making a strong request that whatever their funding does not cover, OPM will pick up the balance. So we still don't know exactly where that's going to fall, but it's definitely in the works, and we should be able to formally announce what's happening there soon. But I can't really do that yet.
All right. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for each month, but as things come up as a board, if we decide that we want to send her in a direction to look for grant funding, this is another opportunity, I think, for us to be able to work closer with Tara on the grants that she's applying for.
I think it's
seeking.
a great communication
Yep.
piece. Thank you, Tara, for coming in tonight. I know, can I share what you do? Can I share what you're doing right now?
Yeah, that's fine. And again, I'm sorry that I'm so distracted.
And I have to say, I mean, Tara is in almost every single meeting that goes on in this town, and this is her one night where she actually is off doing something on her own. So I do thank you for coming in tonight. I think this is a great way. I think Suzanne's right. It's a great way for us to communicate, because even though we meet almost every single week, I don't always remember to communicate as much as I should to my board. So thank you for coming in tonight and sharing that, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, that's fine. I will just toss this out there. This is very challenging for me between September and May. June, July, and August, I actually can come into any selectmen's meeting live, and it's no problem. If we could do this in a memo form, I would super appreciate it. If it can't be done that way, I'll make do, but I've got like 40 people I'm trying to manage here in this gym right now, so it's very difficult.
We just need 5 minutes, once a month, that's all.
Okay, all right.
Send it to us before the meeting, and then 5 minutes just for any questions we might have.
Okay, yep, I can do that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tara. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good night, guys.
You too. All right, moving on to agenda item 8, voting districts, proposed ordinance discussion. This was something I did pass along to our attorney, Ken Slater, to work on. It's been a long process. He was backlogged with work. Additionally, there's question about the way the current ordinance is written, because it lists out street names, and our election monitor, Doug Larry, doesn't want to see it that way, says it should be more census blocks. We're leaning towards more of a map process, but I really wanted to at least have another discussion, only because I've had multiple residents that have come up and expressed concern for the two districts. And I know that's the direction we were thinking we were gonna go in. I'm just not so sure it's the best thing for Thompson.
What are the concerns that you're hearing?
Concerns that the disenfranchisement of voters, concerns that,
How are
it's
they,
gonna be because it's someone's racing to work in the morning and they're gonna have to drive all the way from, because we do have a lot, we know that our town is spread out with almost 100 miles of road. So someone who's living in the farthest part of East Thompson would have to drive all the way to this. I'm second guessing, there's been time because no actual ordinance has been created for me to present. But I've started to second guess whether or not it's a good decision. I did have a long conversation with Mr. McGarry, our registrar of voters, one of our registrar of voters. He had talked to me about the savings and told me that it would be about $6,000 of savings a year if we combine District 1 and 2. And it would be $12,000 in savings per year if we made two districts. So the new revised district, which is going to be District 35 in the state Senate district, would be its own, and then the rest of the town would be a second district. So we've got to decide what's best for our voters and for our residents.
so Amy, how is this decided? It's an
Town
ordinance change, so it has to be done at a town meeting. So is it possible to create two different models to present to the town and let them decide at the town meeting?
I don't know that it's a bad idea. I thought it was a good idea. Ken Slater, our attorney, thought it was not so good of an idea.
What's that?
Create two different
Having
models.
two ordinances for people to vote on, A or B.
Well, when you go to town meeting, they can modify anything at the town meeting. So it'd be easier if you had present with a couple of ordinances that they can look at.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
It's
it would
not-
make it easier.
Not just have
Right.
A, and this is the ordinance, but have it,
Or the notice of town meeting. Do you list off both ordinances?
yeah,
Either or?
I would think.
Well, Ken will
No.
give you the info on how to address that in the modification of the ordinances.
Do you
There's a
both
lot of
think
ti-
that's the better way to go?
I think it's a better way to go because give them a couple, then they still can modify it as they wish, accept or deny.
Right.
You know, that's up to the voting
It's
public.
well, Mr. Larry, Doug Larry is so technical. And because the districts aren't like clearly defined as.
And I understand where they're going with that.
Right.
I kind of get that concept.
Here.
But the biggest issue is the Senate district.
That's the thing we
Okay.
have to do by March 21st.
Correct.
Right.
So the Senate
That's a
district,
given. We have to do that.
I would have to think that the town attorney can draft the Senate district
Right.
where it, just like we do a law, if it changes, we've done different things in the past. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if they decide to change the Senate district again in 2 years,
Mhm.
we gotta be right back at the table.
Right.
They've created the Senate district. As long as that district stays there, I'm sure the attorney can draft language as per,
Mhm.
you know, how the state defines that area, which would cut through whatever roads or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to go in and
Right,
modify it
rewrite.
every time it changes.
Right.
You
Yeah,
should
I
be
see
able to
exactly
draft.
where you're going with
Well,
that.
what he's leaning, what Attorney Slater is leaning towards is this map that basically subtly defines. And then it's still a matter of every time it changes in the voter registrars portal, that gets updated every, 10 years? Correct? When they do the redistricting.
Is that what, it's every 10 years they do
I
it?
thought it was every 10 years. Sometimes there's not a change
I
though.
really don't know.
In this case,
I really
there was the change and they made Quinnebog, most of Quinnebog, District 35. I think there's only 7 households that were affected
Oh,
by the change in Quinnebog,
Based on the district as we had it.
based on the census blocks. It's a whole nother thing altogether. So.
That would be my thought, is have two different models, two different options, explaining districts, town with 2 districts, town with 3 districts.
So we could have the ordinance, the 2 ordinance, list the ordinance on the legal notice and have them available in the town clerk. So
That's
people could
usually
look
what
at
we
them.
do,
Okay. Okay.
that there will be modifications to
All right.
the proposed ordinance
I
change
like
for
that
that.
idea.
And then they're available, they're up online, they can pick them up and review them.
And review them and be ready for a vote. And
And that way.
have them at the
And have
door.
discussion.
Yeah, have them at the
And have
door.
discussion
You would you have it a hybrid again? The town meeting?
I think we'll have to.
Yeah,
And I think we've refined it. I think we can make it even better
yeah.
than the first time we did it. So, I'm hoping I would hope our May meeting, by then we can be completely live. This one I'm kind of leaning towards February 22nd or 23rd. Because if for some reason, well, we have to get District 3 passed, the new District 3 passed. But that would give us another month to have almost another month to have another meeting if we needed to.
Well, we can go into the change
We could accomplish
just
that.
on the Senate district, creating that. If there's,
Right.
whatever the feel is on the rest of it,
Mhm.
we're not under any pressure to
Right.
get that done today, tomorrow, or even a
Right.
year or 2 from now.
True.
We do have to deal with this one. We can have a chat about.
You know
that.
me, I just like efficiency. If we're having a meeting,
Yeah.
let's try to check it off the
Did you
box.
say 22nd?
22nd or the 23rd, just look and see.
Yeah, I think either one.
Doesn't coincide with our budget meeting.
Oh, the 22nd does, 23rd, it would have to be the 23rd. And then if there's any snowstorms, of course. So take back the 22nd, it would only be the
So shoot
23rd.
for the 23rd.
Mhm.
And get out as much information as we can.
And again, it's a matter of having that ordinance written. And I'm a little bound, but I'm hoping Ken gets it to me by the end of the week. And I'll pass it along and then we can start at our next meeting talking about it
But the
more.
people are gonna want to know
I know.
pros, cons.
If we have to move until March, we can wait until March to have the town meeting, give them enough time to really read through it.
Like I said, we can just deal with the Senate district.
Mhm.
Take care of that.
Right. We also have an MS4 ordinance that I'm gonna send to you guys before the next meeting. It's for the illicit discharges. It coincides with our MS4 permitting. It's drafted, it's long, lengthy, but it needs
It's
to be.
required because of the
required.
MS4 requirements.
So we could do that at the same time.
Okay,
So, all right.
all right.
Sounds good. All right, agenda item 9, ambulance update. We did have another meeting last week with Putnam EMS, working on the potential contract. I did ask Rob Wirge, who attended the meeting with me, if he could give a summary of that meeting. Rob? Thank you. And then just come, just come a little closer. You can sit right up there.
Rob Wirge, 452 Lowell Davis Road. Amy asked that I give an update. She also asked me several weeks ago to help participate in some of the meetings and exploring some of the options for EMS and ambulance service in the town of Thompson. And there's really kind of 3 kind of basic frameworks that we look to explore. One would be a standalone, doing it on our own within the town. The second would be to fully contract out, similar to where we're at today with KB on a temporary basis. And the third was perhaps a partnership or some type of a collaboration with a neighboring town as an option for potential cost savings and even perhaps improvement in services. So we looked at those 3 options, and keep in mind the situation we were under for many years, I don't know how many years, but the situation with community fire providing those services, that was very much a standalone, and the town did not have I'm not sure if any is the right word, but very minimal jurisdiction over that entity. So, and given what has transpired, I think we wanted to move into an option where we maybe had a standalone control or some situation where we could have some influence or some presence in the decision making of the structure. So Putnam was an option. Putnam EMS is not Putnam. It's its own entity. It serves the town of Putnam. And the way the structure would look, and it's not finalized, we're still working on it. It would be pretty much a three-way partnership, if you will, between the two towns. You'd have the town of Thompson, the town of Putnam, and Putnam EMS, which is the entity that would support those. We would have equal representation on the board. So that would give us an opportunity to put people on the board to help make the decisions that are driving both the cost and level of service that the entity would provide. We would have a formal agreement with them. We're working through that now, and it's been going, I think, fairly well in terms of cooperation between the towns. And this would be different, a little different than a third party. While EMS is a separate Putnam EMS is a separate entity, it's a little different than just going down a contract route where we put it up for bid and contracted it. It feels a little bit like that on the periphery because they are a separate entity, but given the way the board would be structured and the way the agreement would be structured, it would be a lot more collaborative and more intimate than just a pure, contract relationship. The other thing that was interesting is that we had a consultant that helped that was very knowledgeable. I mean, I brought in a little experience in business, finance, operating costs and contracts, but I by no means had much depth in EMS itself. But we had a gentleman that helped support us with that, and he was helpful in bringing up pro formas to take a look at the overall cost structure. We looked at standalone cost structures. We looked at a cost structure as I described with the three entities. And it's definitely more favorable for us to join forces. And the other thing that was interesting is both towns have peak hours. They have hours where there's more call volume than say, the whole span of a 24-hour day. And the structure that we're looking at would be to have a full-time crew in Thompson and a full-time crew in Putnam, and then yet have a third crew that would cover those peak hours. And that third crew would be shared among both towns so that it could cover the full geography. And that's very helpful. That gives us more service and coverage than we had pre-KBS, right, in the community days. But it allows the cost to be kind of spread out over a larger population. More call volume, larger population means more billable revenue coming in to help offset those costs. So maybe a little too much detail, Amy, but
No, I think
that
it's
gives
fantastic.
everyone in town kind of a flavor. It gives everyone in town a flavor for what we're doing. Timing's important because our current structure is very costly, but it feels like all entities involved are cooperative and want to try to get to the same end spot. More to come.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Your next meeting is when?
The 10th of February. Correct? Did you double check that, Rob?
I did not, but it's
Okay.
the Thursday of that week.
It was a Thursday of that week. So February 10th,
Putnam again?
6 p.m. in Putnam, yeah.
Because I couldn't attend the last two meetings due to circumstances.
Yeah, they have a great meeting room and it's really comfortable. So
6:30?
6 o'clock.
Can I ask that we have Steve Varga from KB come in and possibly talk about the service that they provide, as well as I had a wonderful conversation with Steve about 2 weeks ago. They are interested in kind of a collaborative model as well with Thompson. Right now, what we are paying for is emergency services because none of us were prepared for what we had to cope with. So they're paying a lot of overtime, and he suggested that he could come up with a contract for us that would be a lot more affordable than what we're paying now. He explained some of the benefits that they offer, like insurance, health insurance, 401k. They're a nonprofit. They're willing to add members to the board as well. They are already doing the job. So in terms of adding Thompson, it would be a lot faster. He said that would be a matter of making some of the per diem employees full-time, and it would be a lot quicker. The other thing that was very interesting to me is that they employ, I think he said, I have it written down, but I think he said 13 Thompson residents. So KB is employing 13 of our EMTs, and then some of the per diem. I just was very impressed when I had the conversation with him, and I would love to have him come in and present to this board, if that's an option,
I mean,
if you're both agreeable.
I've always said, if he steps forward and wants to present something, we're open.
Yeah, he is not able to make this decision to,
Right, it's his board.
he has to meet with his board, and they've had some huge losses in the last year.
He's told me that the last.
Yeah.
I've spoken to her about it.
Yeah, so they're kind of recovering, and I know they had one of their administrators on vacation last week, as well as one of their full-time EMTs. So I'll reach out to him and ask him if he would present at our next meeting or, next month. I just think we should explore all options in depth.
Absolutely. All right, any other thoughts on ambulance service? All right, we will move on to agenda item 10, Thompson Middle School PTO request for a fundraiser at the transfer station. Let's see, that's a fundraiser. It's one of those, it's almost like the Fill the Paw, right? For 8th grade students,
That's what
along
it
with
was called.
adult chaperones, April 2nd, 2022, rain date of April 9th, 2022, from 9 to 2 p.m.
So I'll make that motion that we grant them permission to fill the paw on April, what was it?
April 2nd,
2nd?
or the rain date, April 9th,
Yeah, or April 9th, from,
Second.
from 9 to 2 p.m. We have a
Well,
motion and a second.
motion on their request.
I thought you were saying April 2nd, you were, forget it.
No.
Yeah, you were giving me the second. I know, I thought he was saying April 2nd, when we were questioning the date,
Okay,
yeah.
wait a second.
Okay, so we got a
April 2nd
motion
and
and
April
Ken
9th.
made the second.
Okay. Any discussion on this request? All in favor of approving the Fill the Paw donation table at the transfer station, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. All right, agenda item 11, resignation of Heather O'Rourke, Economic Development Commission.
Motion to accept. It's too bad she didn't have the time to get into it,
Yeah,
but maybe she will in the future.
I'll second that motion.
we have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Heather O'Rourke. Any discussion?
Did we just appoint her?
Yeah, within the
That's
past
what I
couple
thought,
months,
okay.
Yeah.
Things
All right.
changed.
Yep, no, I understood, I read her letter and it makes sense, things
So
happen.
if anybody was wondering, she became the chair of the Teague board, the board at Teague, so
And that's it.
pretty heavy
That's a-
duty
yeah.
responsibility.
They're a very active board, so.
Yeah. So we're sorry that she can't get engaged with EDC. She would have been a great member for sure.
Mhm.
All in favor of approving this resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes. All right, agenda item 12. Appointment of Planning and Zoning Commission alternate seats. And just to give background on this again, according to our ordinance, when a Planning and Zoning Commission member resigns or steps down in any way, those seats are filled by the alternate members that are already elected and in place. And then it becomes a matter of party
Is it,
making recommendations to who fills the seats. Currently, the Republican Town Committee has the opportunity at this time to recommend 2, and the Democratic Town Committee has the opportunity to recommend 1 based on the party dynamics from what the attorney had told us a while back.
but this is a straight appointment
This will be.
by the Board of
By the
Selectmen.
Board of
This is
Selectmen.
to fill
Okay.
the vacancies
Right,
of the
of the
people that
alternates.
moved up.
Yeah.
And currently, just, if we can just discuss it for a
Yes,
sec.
please.
Currently, this,
Oh, we have to make
we,
a motion? Oh, no, we can't make a motion first.
No, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
we have 3 individuals, the alternate positions, there are 3 individuals for the alternate, right, on the P and Z?
There's 3 on there
Oh,
now.
there's 3 on there now, correct?
Correct. 2 were moved up out of the 3.
Right.
Correct. So there's currently only 1, but there's 3 positions in total.
In total,
Correct.
Right. And the person that is remaining, because the 2 moved up, is of which party affiliation?
Democratic Party.
Because that does play a role, because we can't have three of the same party
In the old.
in the alternate seats. Am I correct? Okay. And the individuals that moved up, one was sitting in a Democrat seat and one was a Republican,
Correct,
but they filled 2 Republican seats.
correct.
Okay, I just want a clear picture.
And
And
we had a Republican that moved up and an unaffiliated, and that's.
But they were a Democrat seat. Okay. I just want to be clear that, so a Democrat filled a Republican seat and a Republican filled a Republican seat.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of the uniqueness of that
Yeah.
particular commission,
It
the
is.
way they move up people.
Yeah, it is. Well, a lot of the boards, all the boards, I think, have the authority to appoint their own members when somebody resigns. The Board of Ed does, the Board of Finance does. I don't know how the Board of Selectmen work.
The Board of Selectmen actually
When somebody.
finishes it
resigns.
out when, and that just happened just a few years ago, when Shayna
That's right.
Right.
left a couple months ago,
And
then
Mr. Gillot filled in.
the 2 remaining on the board
Appointed.
appointed.
Exactly. So it works.
And, yeah, but they had to agree.
Right, right. So even this board appoints their own. But with the P and Z, they move up from the alternate.
Correct.
They appoint from their alternate, which is interesting, a little different.
It's unique.
So.
Just for clarification, we have 2 different terms. One is a 6-year term, one is a 2-year, or
Yes.
to fill out the end of, okay.
Correct. 1 seat is 6. That's the newest one. One is 6 years and the other one is 2.
I think it's I think it's 2. Um,
2025.
That's what I was thinking.
Whenever it comes up for,
Yeah, it's to fill out the remainder of the term.
So we have 2 letters in front of us today. One is from the Democratic Town Committee. After holding our Democratic Town Committee meeting on Monday, January 17th, 2022, and on behalf of the Thompson Democratic Town Committee, I will be recommending Jeffrey Bolte to fill the alternate vacated seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any questions, please reach out. Thank you, Erica Grow, Thompson Democratic Town Committee Chair. And then from the Thompson Republican Town Committee, it is the intent of the Thompson Republican Town Committee to put forward for consideration for the vacancy of the alternate positions of Planning and Zoning Committee, Kais or Levac, for the 6-year term vacated by Alvin Hill. So they made that special request. And Robert Ward Senior for the remaining term of the seat vacated by David Poplawski. Respectfully yours, John D. Lenke, Chair of Thompson RT. That's what's in front of us for recommendation.
So the way we move forward is you're going to need a motion and a second for each term. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we appoint Kais Levesque for the 6-year term to the alternate position for the P and Z.
I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, all in favor of the motion to appoint Kais or Levac for the 6-year term vacated by Alvin Hill, say aye.
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 And then I'll make a motion that we appoint Robert Ward Senior for the remaining term for the P and Z alternate.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
discussion is that usually we leave it up to the town chairs to come up with the replacement of those, whichever seats are vacant. It's always been the past. last time that we had this go around was the Board of Finance several years ago. And where they did try and replace one of the people on one of the town committee with a non-party person that was not elected at the time. Fortunately, the person that was resigning did not, took back his resignation, so as the voters had voted, it stayed that same. So,
It's happened, it's a courtesy, that we have done it that way, but I think since
it always has been a courtesy.
the Republicans did give up one of their full-time seats to an individual that was put on to, or appointed or elected to a Democrat seat. I think in this case, it's kind of a fair, I don't want to say a fair trade, but I think it's a fair, word I'm looking for.
This is
But I
actually,
also, given Mr. Wurge's experience, I think that he's worthy, truly worthy of the seat. He has served the P and Z for many, many years, and I think he would have run again if he hadn't had some personal things going on in his life. And now he feels, from what I understand, that he is ready to take the seat. It's available, and he has come forward and said he would like to continue on the P and Z.
I think from my point of view, when I knew that, when you read the ordinance and you know that there's two people that are, two alternate seats that are potentially going to move up to replace the two full-time Republicans, it would have seemed more natural in my mind that, oh, okay, well then the Republican. I really thought that that was what party basis meant, that, well, these full-time seats were replaced, so the Republicans should have a choice. But regardless, the fact is, who we've nominated, we're replacing two seats. One was filled technically by the Democrats, but was an unaffiliated. And then we had a Republican that we have to replace in the alternate seat. And that we're kind of replacing that same party. We're filling with a Republican, Rob Ward Sr., and an unaffiliated. And that brings balance. And so that to me seems relatively fair.
so you can look at it that way. You're gonna open up a can of worms for future by doing that.
Why is that?
Because depending on how the power shifts in the future, you could have somebody resign from a board or a commission where whoever's in power at that time is the Board of Selectmen's gonna turn around and say, we remembered what you did.
And that's
And
how
that
it
can
works.
happen.
But we're not looking at it from that perspective. There's no, like this is about who will fill the seats and do, in my opinion. I see what you're saying, but
We can't control how they backfill P and Z. We don't have any control over it. That's law, et
That's the
cetera.
ordinance.
And that's the way, if you want to call it, the farm system works. But the voters did vote in, two of one party, one of another, one of each went up. So you normally would backfill the same way, one of each.
one of each went up, but they filled two Republican seats.
Again, we can't control that
No, we
because of
can't,
state
but we do have.
statute and law.
But
Regardless.
according to the town attorney, we have every right, because it was an unaffiliated seat, to still put somebody, the Republicans have every right to put somebody forward because it was unaffiliated. And the same could happen with the next unaffiliated, where you do have that right. And I have it in writing back before the last meeting, because I wanted to understand the process. I wanted to understand what was right before the December meeting that took place. And that's when Ken Slater came into the meeting, and he was part of that meeting, pretty much the entire meeting. So, yeah,
Got my feelings.
I know. All right, so we do have a motion, a motion on the floor. So I will bring that to a vote. All in favor of appointing Robert Ward Senior for the remaining seat vacated by Dave Polkowski, say aye.
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 No,
The ayes have it. That motion passes. Other business. We received a request from Girl Scout Troop. Suzanne, do you have that email?
you wrote it up.
Oh, the dates?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have the dates.
So
We have a
Girl Scout
request.
Troop from Thompson would like to sell cookies at the transfer station, and the dates are
226, 35, 312, 319, 326, from 8 to 2:30.
I'll make that motion.
okay. Ken makes that motion.
I'll second it.
Suzanne will second it. All in favor of approving the Girl Scout cookie sale at the transfer station, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. All right, that takes care of other business. Open up the floor for citizen comments. Agenda item 14. Oh, Jessica Bolte raised her hand.
I just wanted to say thank you for allowing the girls to sell cookies. They greatly appreciate it. They spend a lot of their cookie profit back into the community and doing things for the elderly and the homeless shelter and stuff. So they say thank you.
And Jessica, thank you for volunteering and being a great Girl Scout leader.
Thanks.
Any other citizen comments at this time?
Steve Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. Just a general comment on redistricting or potential redistricting. I'm not sure what Attorney Slater's concern is, but my concern with bringing multiple motions to the town meeting would be, what if both pass? When it says we want two
That's
districts, one that says we want three, one that says we want four. That may be the issue. I'm not sure it is his issue, but I can see it being a problem for us. So that's something to think about.
I'll run it by him, and what I'll get is an actual like documented weigh-in from him, and I'll share it with the
And there
board
may be
and
a way to
everybody.
play around, it just came to my mind, that might be.
True.
Like a tie?
A tie.
Like a tie, we'd have to have a tiebreaker.
What if both pass? What if both pass?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I will share
That
the,
may not be.
yeah. I will get a written statement.
No fair bringing up Samoas for the cover. That's not fair.
All right, citizen comments.
Bill Warner, 243 Lowell Davis Road. I think you ought to reconsider the voting district on the alternate. According to state statute 7-107, appointment made by the Board of Selectmen is only until the next municipal election, which means it's going to be in 2 years.
I've
And
already-
if you don't do it that way, Renee's going to get in more trouble.
No,
Because she's the one that has to keep track. of
Mr.
it.
Warner, I will set you straight. I have already brought that to the attorney, and that is not the case. The planning and
Okay.
zoning is a board that has terms that, I'm not getting the term correctly, but
The staggered.
they're staggered terms, and if you started to do that, it would eliminate the staggered terms, and I did bring that to
It
the
doesn't
attorney.
eliminate the staggered term. You have
Okay.
to have somebody run for the rest of the time term. That's by state law. That's not my interpretation.
I did bring that to him, so.
But we can research it more.
Sally would like to speak.
Okay. State
Hello,
your name and address.
Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road. I've heard several times tonight a referral to Attorney Slater. Mr. Slater has not been elected to any position in the town, nor is he a staff member. He is a paid advisor. The frequent referral to Mr. Slater says, so we can do this, actually has no part in the town's deliberations. You have no authority to delegate to an attorney, the deliberations or the decisions of the town. If you begin to continue in this vein of delegating or saying the attorney said, then we have moved into a form of government that is alien to town government. It's beginning to sound like he's become a Rasputin to the Board of Selectmen or to the first Selectman. It is highly inappropriate. This is not the way to govern a town. He is an advisor, he's paid staff. So especially when you have a citizen get up before you and declare about the proper mechanics of town government, and you say, well, the attorney said, he doesn't live in the town, he doesn't vote in the town, nor is he elected. There's got to be a halt to this. You can take his advice, but he's not a judge. He does not have any legal authority. He is advice. He does not run the town. So I'd really like to see this stop. It's gone too far. That's it for now.
Thank you, Ms. White. I will strongly consider your thoughts.
Glad to hear it. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Citizen comments. The floor is still open. Oh, yep, we have one in the house first, Nadine. Yep. No, go ahead. Oh, Rob says that you can go first, Nadine.
Hi, Nadine Williams Edwards, 131 Spicer Road. And the comment that I have here is that I understand that, you know, we have the ordinances and there's been some discussion about or some reference to the ordinance and bylaws. And in my experience in the last 2 years, and more particularly in the last 2 months since the election, is that it appears to me that we do go in and out of these ordinance and bylaws by convenience, based on who brings it forward and how it's being addressed. And what I'd like to also call out here is that some funky stuff happened in this election. There's no doubt that anybody cannot deny that it was unprecedented. The voter turnout was unprecedented for this election. And prior to the election, and I know there's people that are sick of it. I heard enough is enough, you know, in the last PZC meeting, the citizens are feeling the same way. And if there's ever going to be a way to resolve this or to stop this division, there has to be some understanding on both sides, in my opinion. Okay. So what's gone on here tonight with the appointment and the moving forward of the PZC seats go back to, in my opinion, go back to the opening of the seats that were started in October. In October, there was opening of seats. We understand that the PZC, as Ken pointed out, is a unique board and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that we understand that, but there's some funny monopoly seating going on, and or it's the perception of the voters, and it matters. Okay, that if there was there's a recording from the October meeting that there was a resignation. There were board members that hadn't shown up for a couple of years to more than 2 meetings. There were 4 core team members of the PZC that voted on the regulation changes, and it goes on and on and on. And everyone is wondering why are the taxpayers so upset? And I'm trying to have a reasonable voice for the taxpayers. And I have to tell you that when we ran the write-in candidate, and this matters to you, and I know I'm taking up some time, but I want all of you to know this, that when we were running the tables on the write-in candidates, I can't even tell you how many citizens came up to us and said, thank you so much. And are you Republican or Democrat? And we told them the majority were not either. They were unaffiliated, and their response was a resounding good, because I don't want to vote for either one of them. Now, maybe you're used to this. This was new to me. And I think it's really important that people that you all know this, that this is the atmosphere and the dynamic that's going on in with the voters right now. And what's going on right now with the 4 seats, two months after an election, speaks really loudly to us that we are not being heard still yet after all that work and all of what had gone on with that election. The way that this is going to land is that the co-author of the big problem that, you know, bubbled this all up with the 2A, with both the selectmen that are brought forth the recommendations here were supporters of 2A, and they're bringing forth people to fill the seats that would not on candidates night declare their position. So the selectmen may be for the 2A support, but how are we carrying forward our support and our position through the parties? Because this became a party nomination and a party appointment, I should say, a party appointment tonight. There was no consideration. There was an opportunity to consider the votes of the town, and it was disregarded. That's all that I have to say. I hope that there's some piece of my message that someone in a position to help to make some change to this takes away from this. And if not, the only thing that I can say is that the movement will continue, because the message that's being sent and how this landed with the 4 seats of non-representation in the opinion of the people is not going to sit well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask, you received 3 names, that was it?
Well, yeah.
But anybody could have submitted a name. And you only received 3, am I correct? For an appointment seat, just like any other appointment seat, anybody could have submitted a name of someone that they, or they could have, you know, submitted their own name, am I correct?
If you look at
Theoretically.
your minutes of your meeting, you submitted 2 names
I'm sorry,
at your meeting, or
not,
it's citizens comment.
Am I still in citizens' comments, or is that question to me or to who?
actually Nadine, I was asking Amy,
Okay,
and we don't have an answer. But it was to my understanding, it's an appointment and anyone could have filled out a volunteer form.
well, may I respond to that? Because I do have the answer to that.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Yep, go ahead, Nadine.
Okay, so what happened was, we understand what happened on the Democrat side, but on the Republican side, there were 3 names that were submitted on the Republican side. And one of the names was of one of the candidates that ran for that office. And actually when you look at the numbers, that candidate had a higher number than anyone that was nominated tonight. And for whatever reason, he actually had to re-interview for that after he received the majority or the highest number of the vote of the electors. So I understand that it's the majority of the RTC and or the Democratic Party that puts the recommendation forward, but the perception of the voters that came out and left their work and got up at 6:30 in the morning and went to vote, it will be that 4 seats of the most important boards that sit and make decisions for taxpayers were moved into positions, into open seats that were not elected. And we can stand behind bylaws and ordinances and so forth, but I still bring back to the point of there was some funky seat stuff going on, in my opinion, because whether or not the seats that were vacated would have been put on the ballot, I understand that they would not be. But the point being is that the voter intent still, no matter how you slice this, was disregarded in the end with this appointment, and it did not need to be. There could have been consideration and it wasn't given. It was political, and it was or appears to be that it was an appointment with disregard. And I will say that with the exception of Mr. Wersch, because Mr. Wersch was not in this past election, but all the other 2 that were appointed tonight, the other 2 that were nominated tonight were in the election. They were on the ballot, and the voters didn't pick them. And now the parties pick them. So we're disregarding the votes, and the parties in Thompson are picking the seats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Werge, 452 Lowell Davis Road. I wanted to comment on, because I wrote down the comments around the lawyer as well, and Ms. White, I believe it is, brought up the lawyer as well. What I see there is costs, and I'm speaking as a resident and right now, and as a Board of Finance member. Our costs are going up and up, and we tend to want to reach out to the lawyers because there's a constant challenge to what people and elected officials in town are doing. And beyond just a challenge, there's an underlying theme that what they're doing is illegal, unlawful, disenfranchising votes, a lot of really strong words. When they're following the law and the lawyers are there to help clarify it, I agree with Ms. White, they're not there to make decisions for the town, but we need to lean on them when there's either a misunderstanding or folks don't have the full clarity of what's happening. And it was described very clearly that in absence of a town deciding their ordinances, they have to then fall back to the statutes of the state of Connecticut. But it was described very clearly that years ago, the town of Thompson decided to do things differently than the way the state of Connecticut decides that you do it. And once we do that as a town, that becomes the law of the land of our quiet corner of Thompson, Connecticut. So people aren't making rules for convenience or manipulating or changing outcomes for convenience. They're actually following the laws and the ordinances in the town. And what concerns me is that we're constantly now, I mean, our lawyer was sitting in a P&Z meeting for 4+ hours. I didn't see the bill, but I'm sure it was a big bill. We need to kind of throttle back on that. Have a little trust in the people that have been elected and understand that they're good people making good decisions. I by no means I'm not saying that you can't call someone out for making a bad decision. Of course you can. But it's a constant kind of probing and a way of trying to, I guess, find, I don't know, energy in it or find a movement in it. But I would rather say, why not work collectively? Why not engage? There's so many things that need to be done in town, whether you're on a commission, whether you're elected, or whether you volunteer. There's lots of things that a lot of people can do, and they can take the energy that's being channeled towards division and help people work together and reach out to people. And that's not happening either. I don't hear people reaching out to say, what can we do to help? Can we get involved? Can we join? Be cooperative on it. It's just very divisive. And I believe that that's got to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Warch. Mr. Warner, can you come a little closer because Dottie did not hear you the last time.
Can you hear me now, Dottie? First off, in reference to Suzanne, I was here at one of your meetings and I said that this board should appoint Jim and I to the P&Z board. You may not have been listening. You're probably on your phone at the time. As far as Mr. Word, you bring up.
Point of order. That was inappropriate. And at these meetings from now on,
Talking and you was
at
on your
these
phone
meetings
the whole
from
time.
now on, I'm not going to accept those kind of comments.
Fine. But I did come here and.
Okay, make your point, Mr. Warner, make your point, Mr. Warner. If you want to submit a name in writing, that is how you do it. And I'm pretty sure you know how that works.
And as far as Mr. Words, I'm sorry that you don't feel that the disenfranchisement of 150 of our citizens, you don't find that disturbing at all. The state is investigating as we are.
And there is no proof.
No, okay.
Let's get
There's no
control
The
again.
audit report.
Okay, so any more citizen comments?
All right. Danielle Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive in North Grosvenor.
You got to come a little bit
All
so
right.
she can,
Make sure
you got to
she can
speak
hear
into the
you.
mic.
Hi Dottie, Danielle Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive in North Grosvenor, Connecticut. Hello and good evening, everyone. I'd like to first start this with, and yes, I'm on my phone because I have a lot written down, with thanking our select women and selectmen for sticking to and never straying away from the premise that they ran on. Not many politicians continue with their premise. You ladies have worked hard and have worked tirelessly in our community to create the unity in which we are desperate of. You are both accessible and parent, you as well. Since under your guidance, we have seen budget referendums pass. We have seen many projects that have been neglected be set as priority, such as the salt shed. Many families, mine included, could be or very well already affected by the salt shed situation. I live on 3 Rachel Drive. I have public water. We're right there. Our land abuts Connecticut water. You know, we're going to be the first people that will see the change if it shall happen. So I appreciate that. You have had to make difficult decisions that have not always been liked or understood by many, but have been beneficial to our town, such as our fire and rescue. You have been working together to bring together a budget that has brought anguish and harm to our town by being split and separated. You have brought that back together or brought that forward, and the townspeople voted to bring it together. We are one town. We have one budget. We should have one mission. And if we as a town don't agree, we need to agree to disagree politely. These efforts that they are bringing forth to strengthen our community in the long run is something that we should all stand up for. If, where am I? Sorry. As we've seen with the 2A situation that P&Z has brought forward, it's only a small, a big thing for many people, but in the bigger picture for the town of Thompson and what we need, it's just a small fraction. We could take that energy and push it forward to what we really need, such as business. That's what the P&Z really needs to be focusing on, is the bigger picture, and we're not figuring out the bigger picture. We're wasting time on the smaller picture. We're wasting time and emotion. We're not being effective, and we need to figure out how to get business in Thompson. And that's the bigger picture. That's what our P&Z needs to be focusing on. Regulations that make sense to bring in businesses. Thompson at one point in time was an industrial town. Our dilapidated mills is a distinct showing of what we've let our town come to. That right there, that's what we are at right now. We are a dilapidated town who is angry at each other for what? What are we achieving? What are we fixing? We're not fixing or achieving anything. We need to come together. We need to not be arguing about emotions or whether budgets got split up or get put back together, or what is the bigger picture? Because we are straying from it, and I'm straying from my notes. But I don't understand how we can take this point of contingent to the point that it's at now. We need to look at what has been accomplished under this term and what has been accomplished under this term. We've seen our real estate properties go up like crazy. There's a insane real estate boom. Everybody's houses are selling that go up for sale. We have people moving into the town, but we don't have a tax base. And if we don't have a tax base, we're going to be running the same circles that we're running now. We need business to sustain. I totally went off the rails on what I was going to say. But I will say this though, watching as a taxpayer and watching the demeaning comments being thrown at this board is appalling, and I'm actually very upset. And as you can see, I'm here showing that I'm upset because there's no need for it. There is absolutely no need for it. We as a community need to rethink how we're treating others and what our mission is as a town, because we are not accomplishing anything. We are actually driving our people apart and not together, and that's not a good thing. We are going to be doing the same hamster wheel dance that we've been doing for years here in Thompson if we don't get it together. So I totally went off the rails, and I will send you guys a formal email of what I did have to say, but I do apologize. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, floor is still open for citizen comments.
I have a few thoughts, but let the gentleman with the beard go ahead first. He hasn't spoken.
Jason St. Ange, 139 Riverside Drive. I just want to make it clear that the RTC was the deciding factor on how people were brought forward to the planning and zoning. It was a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, but for myself, we had to look at each candidate and the amount of time that they put in during their years here in Thompson. Robert Ward Senior has got 2 decades plus in the planning and zoning, and Kai's Orr has a long family lineage to the town of Thompson, as well as a large landowner and business owner within the town of Thompson. So it was not a political decision on my part. I don't know how that went with everybody else that was open to vote, but personally, that's how I saw the whole P and Z vote play out, and I wanted to make my side clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road. Interesting, the gentleman that just spoke actually used what could be said is the definition of patronage for those seats, as opposed to who is most qualified. Getting back to the other woman that spoke about the town and the mills, it wasn't the town that dilapidated the mills. That had to do with federal government and foreign policy. That didn't have to do with the town. Furthermore, the town of Thompson is overarching over 10 villages. Years ago, people talked about, well, we need to be one town. But the reality is, and it should be honored and preserved, is that there's a character and a nature to the 10 villages in town. Years ago, there used to be a selectman for each village. And now we have a centralized government. And it is becoming more and more evident that the form of government is centralized top down to each area of the town, and not necessarily looking at what is the best interest of each of the 10 areas of the town, which do have their distinct character, and they're unique and they're charming, and it would be nice to preserve that. And in terms of the seating of the alternates in the election, it is astonishing to think that you would choose to override the legislative body of the town, which is the electors. If the people of the town, and that is the town is the people came first, they formed the town, and then you choose people to execute the governance of the town. But you all seem to be working from the top down, and to have unification and unity and people working together, you work from the bottom up. And I just will add one more thing in terms of the attorney. As I said, he is there for advice, he or she, but you all are charged with the governing of the town. That is not the role of the attorney. And you need to have the confidence in yourselves and the familiarity to make those decisions and to carry them out. You can't defer them and delegate it to an attorney. It's really astonishing to watch. And I wish there was a way you could sit back and see that. But you can't keep running to the attorney. And I too, I've been concerned about the costs that are adding up. We already pay the first selectman a fully burdened salary, and we pay a reasonable amount to the second and third selectmen. We don't need to be paying the attorney also to be governing the town. It's totally inappropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor is still open.
Yes, Nadine Williams Edwards again, 131 Spicer Road. I would like to go back to the comment that Robert Ward Jr. Made regarding the division and what's gone on here in the town. And we all know when that started, and we all know where we're at, I think. And this works both ways, okay? What's gone on tonight here with this appointment, and I think it was Jason that just said, you know, regarding lineage and the decisions of why, you know, the votes were what they were for the recommendations. The bottom line is that it was an election and an election. It was an appointment. Deciding why someone makes that recommendation, it is their right. The right was with the committees to recommend who would be appointed. But make no mistake that it's very clear that there's been an election with an appointment 2 months after an election, and the votes were disregarded by the people. And, you know, it may be, you know, old news now, it's 2 months behind us, but it's not going to be forgotten. And as well as, you know, the blip on the screen about, oh, we didn't, you know, never got the resignation, you know, 2 months or whatever, the 5th and so forth. It's very selective to say, let's work together, but how do we work together? And it has to be on both sides here. We don't see that there's been any accommodations or any consideration to what we've been trying to bring forward to the town as our concerns that started with the election. We're not getting anything back. That yes, you're being heard. When we expressed our voices in the election, now they're disregarded again tonight. So when we talk about why is there division, please know this is not a one-sided thing going on here with this division. And to the person also that food that it's a very small amount of people in the 2A, again, make no mistake, the 2A supporters in this town are significant and they are huge. And it is a big deal at the PZ&C, because what happens with our property use is a really big deal to the taxpayer. So it cannot be dismissed or overlooked, because the outrage that happened, if you missed that, then I don't know what to say. But bottom line, please know that if there's going to be a reach out, the reach out has to go both ways. There was no reach out to the recommendations with this hostile environment that already was in place. It was just full speed ahead by the parties, disregarded. We're going to pick, the hell with you.
Yes.
Rob Words again, 452 Lowell Davis Road. I find it a little odd that we should be speaking to the selectmen and we're speaking to each other. But I also take that as a really positive thing. And Nadine, I agree with you. It does go both ways. And I'd love to have a further conversation with you and others. I think what doesn't help is perhaps, and just as a side example, maybe coming to an RTC meeting with a bunch of people and overtaking a group in a more ambush, hostile way. Especially when some of those people live right down the road from each other. So I'm reaching out now, Nadine. I'd love to have an additional conversation. I believe that if we work together, we can find ways to bring the right people into the boards and commissions. And like I said, there's also other ways to get involved. Being elected is one way, but there's a lot to do in town. So I'll pass my number on to Amy, Nadine, and we can have more conversation.
Floor is still open for customer comments, citizen comments.
All right, Danielle Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive, North Grosvenor, Dale, Connecticut. I just wanted to rebut what Nadine had said about, I didn't say there was a small group of 2A. What I meant was and said was that 2A, that proposition is just a small part of what P&Z has to do, and was essentially shelved. So what P&Z has to do is a bigger thing. The job and task at hand for P&Z is to essentially create regulations that's going to get Thompson to where it needs to be. That's what I meant. The emotion and anger that is going on right now is not going to be conducive and productive in the long-term sense of what Thompson needs. And we needed people in P and Z that are going to not have an agenda, but be working towards what is actually going to help Thompson, Connecticut. And that is, we need to get businesses in. That is, we need regulations for businesses. That is not necessarily focusing on 2A, that again was shelved. That's all I got. Thank you.
Well, Nadine Williams Edwards, again, I apologize, but I don't. 131 Spicer Road. First of all, 2A shouldn't even be on a agenda for P and Z, period. That's all that I have.
And I do believe that's, I just have to, and I don't want to keep going back and forth, but I do believe that's what Ms. Carlson was trying to say, that it shouldn't be taken up by P and Z.
Right, I'm sorry,
It
Amy,
shouldn't-
go ahead.
That's what she was trying to say, exactly what you just said.
No,
was
I don't
trying
think
to-
so. I think
not
I disagree. I disagree. I'm not gonna put words in her mouth, but she's saying
Okay.
2A and property use for a shooting range are two completely different things. My point here that I'm trying to make is that the 2A, the property rights that the PZNC was discussing had a bleed over to 2A rights that has no right within the town. It's state governed. 2A doesn't belong there, period. So the reference to 2A was inappropriate. It was the property use. 2A shouldn't even be in discussion. There's the Thompson PZC has absolutely no governance over our 2A rights.
Citizen comments, any other citizen comments at this time? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 15, which is tax refunds. I make a motion that we refund ACAR Leasing LTD $128.70, Norman M. and Donna J. Baker $81.68, David C. Day $214.27, Alyssa E. Fortin $36.37, Gary L. Kettle $46.65, and Jonathan Riel $14.87, for a total of $522.54 in tax refunds. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor of approving the tax refunds as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. I'll make a motion that we move into executive session at 8:33 PM.
Second.
Okay, Ken has the second. Ken has the second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of moving into executive session. This will be the board itself. No one else will be entering with us. To discuss Wyndham North Properties request for a lien release and the land acquisition in North Grosvenor. All in favor of moving into executive session at 8:33 PM, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I'm going to pause the recording.